Thank you very much. Right now on the Magic Palace, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Los Angeles, would you please welcome Mr. Charlie Miller.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, no doubt you've all heard of the Hindu rope trick in which a coil of rope is tossed into the air, remains upright like this. A young acrobat, a boy of about 12 years old. He's a marvelous acrobat, contortionist, or posture master, as they used to be called. Climbs hand over hand to the very tip of the rope, balances himself on the end, and after tying himself into all sorts of inconceivable knots, he finally puts his feet into his mouth, swallows himself until he completely... This also comes out of India, and this is a piece of yarn, very good yarn, and I'll break it into a number of small pieces like this. Now, I did this one time in Los Angeles for 200 magicians. I did it at the Maskers Club, which was a very well-known club at that time, and later the magicians came in, said, "Charlie Miller, you didn't break the yarn into pieces, you merely snapped your thumbs together." So now you'll notice that I separate my hands a little bit so that it'll look better. And not only that, but I roll the sole up into a small wad like this and toss it from hand to hand. May I ask the lady to extend her hand, please, here for a moment? And I'll place this yarn on and hypnotize it. And I also hope at the same time I hypnotize you. Now, the idea is very simple. I again roll this into a small wad, billet, or pellet, and you'll notice that the smaller it becomes, the more the pieces become invisible, until finally, at the very finish, only two ends remain. Now, a little hypnotic look. May I ask you to hold the end of this in the other hand, if you will, please, and spread your hand apart, and we'll do this way, and we'll spread, and we'll spread, and we'll spread, and there is the yarn completely restored, each and every fiber back in its place, and it has been done again. Thank you. I'll give this, as a matter of fact, I'll put it in my pocket for the moment where it's out of sight, and this way I can do the trick again. I'd like to show you something that happened to me. This is one of the larger handkerchiefs made of silk. This is what we call a left-handed handkerchief. Now, a left-handed handkerchief is a very unusual handkerchief. By that I mean the seam runs from left to right instead of right to left. It's also made on a left-handed sewing machine in which the bobbin goes down and up instead of up and down. You'll notice that it's impossible to tie in the right hand in the usual manner. No matter how you try, it won't work. That's because it's a left-handed handkerchief. There's only one way to tie a left-handed handkerchief, and that's tie it left-handed like this. You see, that makes it a left-handed handkerchief. The strange part is that if you hold it very long in your right hand, it immediately dissolves, you see. That's a left-handed handkerchief. Now, would you extend your right arm towards me, please, right here so we can see it? And I'll have to turn my back to you, but it's all in fun. Now, keep your fingers up like this. This creates a little friction and makes the wrist, it makes it ectoplasmic. That's a tough word to say, ectoplasmic. It means things pass through a tish. Now, the idea is we make the wrist ectoplasmic. Now, would you turn your hand this way, which is, that's right, it's the only way it turns, so it's all right. We'll tie this here, like this. Now you may turn your hand back again. Would you grasp the other end of the handkerchief firmly, please, wait a minute, get a little more of it, that's it. Now I'm going to hold your hand, don't pull yet. I hold your hand with your permission. The reason for that is safety first. When the handkerchief passes through the wrist, my holding your hand will prevent the hand from falling on the floor with a dull, sickening thud. Now put your hand down just a little bit lower, just a little bit. That's it. Now we just do like this, and it dissolves the wrist, of course, but it's back together again. You may wave at people for a few days, but wave this way. Don't wave this way. Sometimes the hand comes off and flips around. That's the story of the left-handed handkerchief. Now, if you ever get one of these left-handed handkerchiefs, you'll notice something very odd about them. They also have 7 corners. See, here are 4 that you see. The other are in the 3rd dimension, 4th dimension. Not 3rd dimension, 4th dimension. I showed this to Einstein when he was a young boy. I said, your handkerchief has 7 corners. He said, no, 4. I said, 7. I proved to him, as I shall prove to you now, that there are 7 corners to this handkerchief. He took so much interest in it, he came up with E equals MC squared, the theory of relativity, and all that, all from this simple trick. Now we'll count. Here are 2, right? 2 corners. Yeah. Remember, 2 corners, and this is a square knot. Now, if you've ever been a Boy Scout, Girl Scout, Brownie Fudger, or whatever they call them, you'll know that a square knot, as I explained before. Would you take your fingers of your other hand, please, like this. Now, keep it up here on the above us. I'm going to ask you to hold the knot right there. That's my thumb, and the knot's in there. Just grab it. That's right. There are two corners, two in your right hand, right? Two in your left hand, but it's my right, you see. That's correct. Correct means right. And pay no attention to the jokes. They come when you buy the trick. Are you ready now? Take the other hand. Bring it into view like this. I'm going to ask you to hold these two corners right there. That's my fingers, so grasp it too. That's the idea. Now that leaves an invisible hole in space from which I remove two more corners. We have two in the right hand, two in the left, and two outside here. Keep your hands a little closer together, please, like this. That's the idea. Now I'll tie two more knots. That makes a total of 6. 6 knots. Now I told you that there was 7. Now since you don't have a third hand, just put your hand together and grasp that. Just put them together that way. That's right. I'll now go into the invisible hole in space and remove the 7th corner. First time, ladies and gentlemen, who have ever witnessed a handkerchief with 7 corners. And now for the blood-curdling climax, causing the handkerchief to reassume its original shape. To do this, we'd work it in reverse. It used to explode. Now it implodes. The reason that I don't use it exploding now is last week I blew a studio apart. Nobody was hurt, but they had a lot of fun. And at the count of 3, I want you to just separate your hands. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Just let go and separate your hands, and there's the handkerchief back in its original shape. That's the story of it. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to call your attention to this lovely wand. It's part of a coat hanger. You may examine, if you will, and notice it came from a coat hanger. Nothing but the highest quality materials. You may examine that. This is a piece of rope painted yellow so it'll look better. You may examine that. And do either of you have a ring I could borrow? Yeah, oh, you have one here. Thank you very much. My, that's a beautiful ring. Has stones in it. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that a beautiful setting? Now, I thread this thereon. Now, I spin this. Sometimes I spin this so fast that the stone flies out of the center, lands on the floor. Wonderful trick. Much fighting, swearing afterwards. Audience loves it, though. But I'll be careful. As a matter of fact, I'll make a knot on this. And this is what we call a, what do we call this? We call this a knot, yes. The idea is to thread this through there again. Now you can see that this is thoroughly threaded on there in a manner that's fair, square, and above board. Would you extend your other hand, the hand nearest me, which is your right? That's right. And I want you to grasp the end of this, wind it once around your finger, please, so it won't fly out of your hand. Just wind it around this way, so it won't fly from your hand. Here, want me to do it for you? Yeah, like this. There we are. And would you do the same on this side with this hand, please? Wind it around your finger a couple of times, hold it. Now keep your arms extended, hands in full view. Now the idea is to take this wand, hit violently on this, and break everything, so I'd better be careful. I shall now cover this. Now, would you pull your hand that way and you pull it this way? Don't let go of the rope for 3 days. Now, keep it just a bit extended. You keep it a bit extended on that side. Are you ready? Now, you have a free hand. That's the one on that side, and that's the one on that side over there. Hold the end of the wand, please. Hold it tightly. Don't let go. Allow me to move, but don't let go of anything. That's very important. Hold it that way for 2 days. Don't let go of anything, please. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Watch the ring fly from the rope to the wand. Hang on. Thank you. Thank you. I now let go of everything, and I'll return the ring to the man. And one of the stones seems to be... No, I guess it's just the light. This ring is slightly out of round, but any blacksmith will fix you for it for a very small amount.
Thank you.
That's the story of the ring on the stick. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it comes my pleasure to introduce a little card trick at this time. It's a little card trick in which I use my 52 assistants. 52 playing cards. You may examine the cards if you wish to. Look them over. I can tell. Yeah, he examines them very carefully. Thank you. Now, let's make sure. Did you see a joker? You didn't examine that one. Didn't see a joker? Well, let's spread these out this way and see if they're all here. Yeah, I think they're all here. Yeah, they're all here. So we'll do another trick. Now, this time, this will again be my concluding trick. That means the finish. The denouement, the blow-off. whatever it is. I'd like to have you shuffle a pack. You shuffle it and I'll watch. I think he shuffles this better than I do. I'll tell you what game you play. You play bridge pretty well, and also poker.
No,
No?
crib.
Crib. Good game, too. I'll give him another shuffle. That's another shuffle. That's a variation. And this, of course, is, if you've seen magicians before, this is a Mexican shuffle. That's the Mexican shuffle. And that's enough of that, so I'd like to have you do the trick now. For this, I'd like to explain that I do tricks in many foreign countries. And I have to cut down my languages to one word. I'll reverse the procedure this afternoon and do it the other way. I'll do it in English, but I'll use one word. Cards. Take. Look. Show. Careful. Put. Thanks. Mix. Mix. Drop. Pick. Quiz. Yours.
No.
Yours.
No.
Yours.
No.
Yours.
No.
Which?
Spades.
What?
6 spades.
6 of spades. Watch. C'est fini. And there you are, the 6. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for coming up. You did a marvelous job.
Ladies and gentlemen, the incredible Mr. Charlie Miller. Thank you very much for being with us, Charlie. And also, ladies